The Honourable Member for Calgary Rocky Ridge.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I usually take great pleasure in speaking in this place, this hallowed chamber where Canadians send people that they elect to speak and vote on matters of national policy. But this debate certainly gives me no pleasure at all. It's a very unfortunate situation that brings us to this point. We're in the midst of the second crisis of confidence in the Speaker in this fall session alone. It's been less than 2 months, or less than 3 months since we had the resignation of a Speaker, something that nobody in this place had seen in their time, over the incident that we all know of, wherein the Speaker recognized a person in the gallery who was later revealed to be a Nazi member of the Waffen-SS, and in the presence of Ukrainian President Zelenskyy. And that former Speaker was let down by, he was let down by the Prime Minister's office, who had failed in its basic responsibility to ensure Canada's reputational integrity. But the point is that the Speaker then understood that the debacle that unfolded was serious enough to render his position untenable, and as a consequence, he did the right thing and the only thing under the circumstances, and he resigned. So now here we are. It's only a little over two months later that we have another crisis of confidence in a Speaker, and the facts are fairly well known. The Speaker chose to use his position as the Speaker of the House of Commons to participate in a political event. He appeared in his Speaker's robes and in his Speaker's office in a video that was calculated to lend prestige to a sitting elected provincial legislator at a political convention, a Liberal political convention. And the Speaker, in his acceptance speech when he was elected Speaker, he said in his remarks, he told the House that symbols matter. And indeed they do. When the Speaker appears in his robes from his public office on a televised political convention, there is important symbolism at play. The symbols of his office are designed to convey absolute political neutrality. Absolute. And it is impossible to do that when you're with the symbols of that office, to appear at a partisan event, a Liberal convention, and lending that prestige to a member who is an elected member, an elected office holder. That is an error of judgment that completely challenges the appearance of neutrality. So there just can't be any hint of political partisanship in the conduct of the Speaker, in order for the Speaker to maintain the confidence of members of this House. So the Speaker's decision to appear at a political convention through this video demonstrates it telegraphs political affiliation, which is anathema to the office that he was elected by members of this place. So we know that every member of this current Parliament was affiliated with a political party at the time that they were elected. A few of them now sit as independents, but every member of this chamber, political affiliation played a role in their pathway to this place, including the current Speaker. But political affiliation has to be abandoned once the member becomes Speaker. And given this crisis of confidence over the fact that the Speaker had appeared at this political convention by video, it's worth remarking the Speaker had been an exceptionally partisan member of Parliament. And that's fine. We have many exceptionally partisan members of Parliament. I'm a partisan member of Parliament. I sit in a political caucus. I pursue an agenda that I was elected upon, and so did he. But once you take the Speaker's chair, that has to be set aside entirely. And so At the time of the speaker election, it was remarked by some that this member had an extraordinarily partisan history, and that he had been a president of the Liberal Party, I understand, and or a director of the party, and I spent time on committee with him, and certainly he had an agenda. He was a spokesperson for the government. He was parliamentary secretary for a variety of different ministers. I appeared on panels with him, Madam Speaker, where he would, in an extraordinarily partisan role, deliver a message for the government. So that had to be set aside in order for the member to maintain the confidence of this place. And now, with the event of this this past weekend, that is being called into question, which is why this motion is before us. And I understand that he has apologized, and the apology is fine, but it doesn't resolve the question of judgment and a lack of judgment. And Madam Speaker, in the midst of this crisis, the member had actually left Ottawa to attend meetings in Washington, I understand. So, Madam Speaker, what could be more important to the Speaker of the House, or what priority could be greater than to preside over debates in this House? The trip is a part of the lack of judgment. There are members, I had a conversation with a veteran member who could not recall any time where a speaker, other than for physical illness, would choose to be away from the House of Commons on a Tuesday, Wednesday of a sitting week. There are able deputies, an able deputy speaker and two able assistant deputy speakers. We have one in the chair tonight, Madam Speaker. Yes, you are an able deputy, but the point is, the Speaker's priority is the business of the House of Commons. It is not traveling to socialize or have appearances with other politicians in other countries or former politicians in other countries. The business of the House is the priority, and the judgment of the Speaker to make priorities like appearing in Speaker's robes to pay tribute to a partisan elected official at a convention, and then to leave town while the House is sitting to attend a conference in Washington is a very troubling example of poor judgment. The role of the Speaker is to protect the privileges of members of Parliament, period. To ensure that the rules of Parliament are enforced, and to that is what the role of, and you do that by presiding over the debate, not by leaving. So I'm very concerned about that. It's not the role of the Speaker to have an opinion on, to worry about what the press are saying, or what people in the gallery might think, or how our debates look on TV. The Speaker's role is to simply enforce the rules of this House to ensure that all members' privileges are upheld. And that can't be done by being absent, and it can't be done by telegraphing political affiliation. And so this is the place we are in now. This motion, I hope, will be supported by the House so that it can have a fulsome airing at committee, and also so that, and I'm pleased that the House adopted the amendment, which wisely ensured that this is dealt with quickly, because we're in crisis. We're in crisis of confidence of the Speaker, and it has to be resolved one way or another. And so I urge members to support this motion, and let's get this into proc and deal with this crisis and get this place back running properly, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Madam Speaker, I want people to reflect on the issue of hypocrisy. Here's the essence of the motion: that the House refers the matter to the Standing Committee on Procedure and House Affairs with instruction that it recommend an appropriate remedy. The Conservative Party moved this motion. They're saying that they want PROC to come up with the remedy.
That's right.
Conservative after Conservative has already passed judgment. They're already calling for the Speaker to resign. One member said in the hallway, it's a farce. The Speaker has to resign. Madam Speaker, is there any credibility at all within the Conservative Party in believing that they can be objective when this matter goes before PROC? I suspect not. Does the member believe there's a credible Conservative on the other side that can sit in the PROC committee and be impartial?
For Calgary Rocky Ridge.
Of course I do. And furthermore, the member may heckle me if he wishes, but perhaps he could have listened more carefully to my speech, wherein I addressed the motion and the desirability of sending it to PROC where the process can unfold. If he listened carefully to my speech, he would have heard I made no reference to remedy. We're debating the motion right now, but indeed, calls for the Speaker's resignation have been made by the Conservative House Leader and by the Bloc's House Leader. This motion didn't come out of the sky. This motion is the result of conduct. And we have to understand there is a reason why we are even having this debate, and there is a crisis of confidence, and it must be addressed through the proper remedies, including the referral to PROC, which I hope the member will vote for.
Honourable Member for Elmwood Transcona.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I, for my part, don't see anything contradictory about a party having an opinion on this matter, but following due process. It's not egregious to me, that's for sure. I look forward to PROC doing its work. One of the things that I have been concerned about in the course of this debate, when we talk about the dignity of the office of Speaker, has been the fact that the member for Regina Capel has been the point person for the Conservatives on this. Now, until the member for Regina Capel left the office of Speaker, we used to have a tradition in Canada that the Speaker not go on to be partisan, never mind lead a political party or be the House Leader for a political party in the House. So I wonder if the honourable member would agree with me that, Conservatives have a fair case to make, that's fine, but that the member for Regina Capel is not the appropriate person to make the case, and the Conservatives should not be mobilizing his experience in the Speaker's chair to give credibility to their arguments. That, too, is a form of partisanship about the office of Speaker that I think is not appropriate.
The Honourable Member for Calgary Rocky Ridge.
Well, that was a bit of an unusual twist that this member has brought, but I don't see any problem with the way the opposition House Leader has conducted himself in this matter. He was the Speaker. It was before my time. I understand he did an admirable job, and he certainly didn't appear in Speaker's robes at conventions or any of the other conduct that has triggered this current crisis. And I think that he has been a valuable resource to the debate in this, and he has certainly valuable experience from having been a chair occupant.
Questions et commentaires, l'honorable député d'Abitibi-Témiscamingue.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to my colleague for his speech. Figuring out if this is a good situation for the Speaker, well, of course, it's a question. I perhaps have two values that may feed into this discussion. Speakers should be, for example, impartial for one, and should have good judgment. That's the second element to feed into our discussion. The Speaker should see both. In this case, my question is as follows. The Speaker's participation this last weekend, does that respect the two principles I raised about impartiality and good judgment? just to make sure that we do not refer to this chair as a throne. It's a chair. It's not a throne.
Every rocky ridge.
Conduct had neither the appearance of impartiality nor good judgment.